Here are the 59 or 60 books I want to read in 2024. Now obviously I know I'm not gonna get to all of these, but these are hopefuls. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, the first trilogy I would love to read this year. I actually wanted to read this trilogy last year, but I just didn't get to it. But that is going to be the Lannan Trilogy by James Islington. Now I heard very mixed things about this one, but from what I've heard, especially from Patrick Leo, it sounds like this should be right up my alley. And I kind of want to read this before I pick up The Will of the Many, which everyone is raving about. But yeah, these three books are seriously chunky, like 800 pages each. So it's probably gonna take me a while. And I've also heard that they recommend that you read these almost back to back to back, because it can be quite confusing with different timelines and stuff. But yeah, definitely want to read the Lannan Trilogy this year. And then I want to read the other two books in the Way of Idan trilogy by Philip Chase. So we have book 2 and 3 here, and I've heard that book 2 and 3 are even better than the first one. I really enjoyed the first one. It didn't blow me away, but it was beautifully written. It felt very classic, and I have a feeling that this will probably feel a tad bit more original, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the first one was also absolutely great, and yeah, definitely hoping to read this trilogy this year. And then I want to read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. I have his copy with me, but I'm not sure where it's gone. But most people say that this is the best book out of the 4 Secret projects. It has received a lot of great reviews, and obviously I'm a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson. I mean, obviously I need to read everything that happens in the Cosmere, and I haven't read this one. I haven't read Sunlit Man either, and I have some other couples like novellas and Rhythm of War that I still need to get to. And speaking of Brandon Sanderson, I also want to read Rhythm of War, the 4th book in the Solomon Archive, and obviously book 5 whenever that comes out later this year. I'll probably need to start reading this in May or June or something. I'll need to have a couple of months break before the 5th book comes out. And yeah, these dust jackets from Kraken Book are absolutely gorgeous. And I'm currently reading Oathbringer. I'm nearing the end. I have around 400 pages, which is pretty mad to say. And I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait for Rhythm of War. Albeit I've heard that most people say that this is their least favorite book in the series. And then a priority in the first half of this year is to finish the Land Dynasty by Ken Liu. I read the first 3 books in the series. I have absolutely loved them, and I will be making a video when I've eventually read this one. But yeah, this is the 4th and last book in the Land Dynasty, and I just can't wait. I have no idea how Ken Liu is going to wrap up this trilogy, or I mean this quartet, because how do you wrap up a series like this? The scope is so massive. But most people say that he does stick the landing, so I can't wait for this one. And then I really want to continue Memor Sor Thorn by Ted Williams. I read the Dragonbone Chair, which is the first book 3 months ago, and it became one of my favorite books of last year. And yeah, I definitely need to read everything that Ted Williams has wrote. These books are all seriously chunky. He's written like 15 or 20 books. They are all massive, so it's gonna take me years and years to actually get there. Definitely need to continue the series. I hope to read this whole quartet this year. In the UK it's a quartet, in America it's a trilogy, so I'll call it a trilogy because it originally was published as a trilogy. But yeah, beautiful writing style. It feels classic but original as well, and I'm expecting this to become one of my favorite reads of the year, so hopefully that happens. And then I want to read Perido Street Station, is that what it's called, by China Mayville. I'm definitely butchering that whole name and author's name. But yeah, I've heard that this is one of the most original fantasy in a long time. But yeah, I've heard so many mixed things about this one. A lot of people say that the prose is very weird and frustrating. But I know that China Mayville is very famous for being an author that wanted to get a bit away from writing a typical Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy. So I've heard that he intentionally went out to create something that feels fresh. But that's about the only thing I know about this trilogy, and we'll see if I enjoy it or not, but hopefully I'll get to it this year. And then I want to get to the book that everyone is reading on booktube at the moment, and the series Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. I've had a bit of a mixed experience with Sci-Fi, but everyone says that this will probably blow me away, and I think there's gonna be a 7-book series. So yeah, I absolutely can't wait. I'm expecting this to probably become one of my new favorite series, especially considering a lot of people that I trust have said that this is one of the best series I've ever read. And I'm really happy for Christopher Ruocchio. He seems to be an absolutely lovely guy, and hopefully I'll fall in love with it as well. And then I'm hoping to start Empire of Black and Gold. So this is a 10-book series, and I now have the first 3 books in the series in the special Broken Binding edition, and I haven't even read the first book. So I might hate this, and if I do, then at least I can sell those books to someone that will appreciate it more than I do. But yeah, I've had a bit of a rocky relationship with Tchaikovsky. I read 4 of his books, I think, and I loved one of them and had mixed feelings on the other 3, and therefore I really want to check out some of his fantasy work. And yeah, he has a 10-book fantasy epic, and these are not short. And I know some booktubers have read the series and really raved about it, but it seems to be extremely underhyped or not as good as some people say on booktube. So yeah, definitely I'm going to be starting the series this year. There's no doubt about it, and if I love it, who knows, I might read the whole thing. And then I'm most definitely going to be reading the Rain Chronicles by Robin Hobb. This is a quartet set in the realms of the Elderlings, and this is the 4th series, I believe, set in this universe. Yeah, that is correct. So I read one series set in the realm of the Elderlings every year, and I absolutely can't wait to continue now. I've heard most people say that Rain Chronicles, these are 4 books that are not that long, so that's at least good, but a lot of people say that these aren't as great. So hopefully I will absolutely love all of them, and nonetheless I'm sure I'll at least enjoy Robin Hobb's prose, because yeah, she's the queen of fantasy for a reason. And then I have a couple more individual books. Firstly, I want to read Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong. Obviously I love the Sword of Kagan, one of my favorite fantasy standalones of all time, and Emma Wong, after many years, has finally come out with a new book, and a lot of people say that it's maybe not as good as Sword of Kagan, but they still say it is absolutely brilliant. So definitely want to read that this year. And then fellow booktuber Tori Talks, or Tori Tekken, has come out with a book last year called The Bloodstones, I believe. Don't know much about this one, but yeah, she's a friend of mine, and I definitely want to give this one a go, and the cover is also gorgeous. And then I want to give Northern Wrath, which is a trilogy, I'm not sure what the trilogy is called, by Tilde Kold Holt. I think that's her name. I'm definitely butchering that pronunciation, which I should definitely nail since I'm Scandinavian. But yeah, the Broken Binding is making a special edition of this whole trilogy, and I'll probably be receiving the first book this month. And yeah, the covers are beautiful, and this is a Norse-inspired epic fantasy, and it seems to be very underrated, so I'm definitely intrigued, and hopefully I'll get to it, because as I said, if I don't end up enjoying it, then I should really just give it away to someone, because I don't really have bookshelf space. Then I want to give Never Die by Rob J. Hayes a try. I really need to check out Rob J. Hayes. He has like 15 or 20 books, and people rave about him, and I've read quite a lot of self-published books by now, and Rob J. Hayes is definitely one of the bigger names in the indie community that I haven't read a single book by. And the good thing about Never Die and the other 2 books in that trilogy is that they're all relatively short. So yeah, I'm very excited about this one, and a lot of people that I trust say that it's incredible. Then I also want to check out The Rift Saga. This is a trilogy by Rain E. Feist, and if I enjoy this one, then there's at least, I think, 9 or 12 books set in this universe as well. Now, after having read Tad Williams, I've come to realize that there's definitely some classics in the genre, or books that came out in the 80s, that I need to check out. And Rain E. Feist is definitely one of the most well-known names in the genre. He's a legend probably for a reason, so hopefully I will get to this trilogy this year. I know a lot of you have probably read this one, and maybe are shocked that I haven't, so we'll see. And then I really want to continue with the Iron Gate trilogy. This is called the Dragon Spear series. Yeah, book 2 came out last year. I mean, I love these covers, and the Iron Crown, the first book, I loved. I read it around 18 months ago, and the Broken Binding have even made a special edition, which is probably gonna come out very soon, which I can't wait to get my hands on. But yeah, I'm expecting to absolutely love this one. It feels very underrated, so more people, you really need to check out the Iron Crown and the free novella you can get on her website, and hopefully Shadowgate is just as good as the first book, and from what I've heard, most people seem to rate this one just as highly as Iron Crown, so yeah, can't wait. And then I really want to read The Last War by Mike Shackle. This is the Broken Binding edition. I have the 2 other books, but I'm afraid I'll drop them if I pick them up. Everyone says that this is one of the best Grimdark series they've ever read, and they say it is so criminally underrated, and I love me some good underrated fantasy in the genre that feels fresh. From what I've heard, it seems like this should be right up my alley, but I know actually very little about this series, which is often what I prefer. I prefer going a bit blind into it and then just being surprised by how good it is. Hopefully I'll get to this one this year. And then I really want to read Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I read Recursion and Dark Matter last year, and they become some of my favorite books of all time, and I really need to check out Upgrade. Now, a lot of people say that this isn't as good as Recursion or Dark Matter, but people still say it's worth a read, and it's not that long, and as usual, there's not that much text on each page, so if I need like a palate cleanser, then this is probably gonna be one of the books I'll consider to pick up. Okay, we're almost at the end. I also would love to check out the 5 Warrior Angels trilogy by Brian Lee Durfee, which is a 3-book series, but every single book in that trilogy is massive, 800-900 pages, and I've heard it's quite complex. The world building is on a whole nother level, so we will see if I'll actually have time to get to that one. That trilogy is definitely one of those hopeful ones. But yeah, Brian Lee Durfee, he's a fellow booktuber. He seems so nice, and I haven't really heard that many bad reviews about this trilogy, so definitely one to check out. And then just generally, in this year, I would love to read at least one Neil Gaiman book. It doesn't have to be this one, and one Stephen King book. Also, I'm not sure it's gonna be this one, but at least read one book from these authors, because I love both of them. They're some of my favorite authors of all time, and they primarily write standalone fantasy novels or sci-fi or coming of age, and these are also great palate cleansers. Oh, and also I'm going to be reading this one probably very soon, Jade Shards. Obviously I need to read the Greenbaum Saga. It's one of the best series I've ever read in my whole life, and I need to read every single story written in this universe, and I believe that this is the last entry that we'll maybe ever get. So yeah, it's definitely gonna hit the feels, but I can't wait to read this one. So those are the around 60 books I want to read this year, if you count all the books in this series. I know I'm not gonna be able to read all of these, and there's gonna be some books that are gonna come my way that I just wanna read instead of some of these books I mentioned. But I usually find it that if I have like a rough idea of some of the books I'm gonna read this year, it really helps me to. So yeah, have you read any of these? Which one do you think I should read first? Definitely let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Now, if you wanna support what I do here, then I do have a Patreon. Now, a reason why I created a Patreon was to find a new way to reinvest to the channel, because basically since I created my Patreon, I spent around 100% of my earnings to hire an editor to do a couple of videos for me a month. Now, since creating my Patreon, an editor has done more than 20 videos for me on my channel, so it makes a huge difference. Now, if you join my Patreon, you will also get some benefits. For example, you'll get a name in my videos like these guys. You'll also be able to join the exclusive Viking book club where every month we read one book together, and you might be the one to put the book forward. This month we're reading this book, and next month we're reading this book. You also get to vote on my next read, get access to exclusive videos like a wrap-up or even book reviews, and so much more. But this is totally voluntary, but all support is much appreciated.